Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're just landing here, I'm glad you landed on the channel. I hope you stick around, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond, and I do political readings mostly, and I also do some new moon and full moon readings, kind of add a little bit of spiritual stuff into the mix. But today we're doing a political reading for sure. Been away for a few days. I took Friday off. Thank you so much, so many of you with the birthday wishes and holiday wishes. I really, really appreciate it. We know who did not have a Merry Christmas, right? You saw the videos. It was so interesting to watch for the first time ever. I don't know if you've seen Melania that animated before when they were having, I don't know if it was Christmas Eve dinner or Christmas Day, but you saw this table. There was videos everywhere around it. This table, dinner table at Mar-a-Lago, of course, with the red rope around it in the center of the room. Like, why that's even necessary, who knows? But Melania's father was there, and it was the literally the first time I've ever seen her genuinely animated, smiling, la la la. Like, so this is her and her father in this direction, and you got Sleepy D over here on this side, just looking perfectly miserable, just out of it, not included in any part of the conversation. People moving around the room, talking, laughing around him, and he's just off in another land, right? Oh, it was interesting. He clearly did not, and then he went on that tantrum raid, what, 150, and some odd posts on social media. We know that's how he reacts when he's not happy. But he didn't even get coal, right? Yeah. Not only did he not get present, not only did Santa not come through in a good way, but I don't even think he got coal. He didn't get nothing. So anyway, there's that, right? There was that sort of as I guess a highlight for the holiday. So yesterday we saw that Zelensky came in today. Netanyahu's here, Bibi's here, whatever. That's like, spirit has been very, very clear, and we all see it playing out before our eyes in Gaza. That peace deal supposedly holding, but not really. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But I want to go to spirit today on Ukraine and Russia, because we know once again before the meeting with Zelensky, Sleepy D got on a phone call with Putin and got his marching orders. This is how it's going to go. This is what I need you to do. Interestingly, though, Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut, Democratic senator, many of you are familiar with him. He's been pretty outspoken. He said point blank period that the onus of that phone call between Putin and Sleepy D prior to the meeting with Zelensky was Putin making promises for payoffs, basically, and saying if you can find some way to slide in and get Zelensky, get Ukraine to agree to a deal, right? That's not going to be, we're not going to keep our end of it. I'm going to make sure that it's worth your while. I'll make sure that you're taken care of. Spirit, is there truth to that? Was that phone call, or at least part of that phone call between Sleepy D and Putin yesterday, did it involve an offer of, pay for play? Get a peace deal that is clearly favorable to Russia, get that in place. And if you do that, I'll line your pockets. I'll make sure that you're taken care of. Did Putin make that offer to Sleepy D? The devil. Ooh, wee. And the sun came right behind it. I think the answer is yes, y'all. Devil having to do with this unbelievable, really weird bond between Putin and Sleepy D. That's the devil that he knows and he's in with. And then we've got the sun. I promise you, I'll help this go down as a success, or appear to be a success for you, because of course Sleepy D is saying, listen, right now part of my whole deal is I've got to prove to people I'm doing all of this stuff, foreign, peace deals, because I'm trying to make that a part of my legacy. I got to show that I'm doing something, I'm getting something accomplished, and this is a big one. I really need you in on this with me. So he's like, okay, was there, what's this laying out on top? Ten of Pentacles. So that's the aim. He's basically from Sleepy D's standpoint, he's like, look, I need a win. I need a win right now. I need it bad because, of course, Epstein files, economy, healthcare going, down the road of horror from so many people, right? Affordable Care Act. We all know what's happening. So he went to Putin and said, "I really need this." Putin coming through as the devil, temptation. I got you. Did he offer financial incentives for? He did the star. He did, but what's interesting about this is he has no intention Putin has no intention of whatever he promised Sleepy D. He has no intention of keeping those promises. The star is buying time, right? We know that very often it looks good. It's about hope for the future. It's about things moving in a certain direction that feels appealing, and that's what you want. The end of the war, the peace deal, the agreement, reaching an agreement that's signed by all parties. But he didn't come in with the devil. Putin has no intention, whatever he promised him. Was this a direct payout, though, Spirit? That's part of what I'm asking. Did he say, not just politically, two cards are trying to come, that I will give you money? The High Priestess and the Ace of Wands. Yes, he did, you all. So Putin said, I'll make sure this is worth your while. Period. I'll make sure this is worth your while. I will help you in whatever ventures. We know that the family is definitely building up their financial concerns overseas. Whether or not that is, I don't feel like that's necessarily within Russia proper. But to the extent that this deal that Putin is trying to encourage Sleepy D to broker a deal that Zelensky would buy into, Ukraine would sign on to, he's saying, I'll make sure that if I get some of that land over in Ukraine, I'll hook you up. That's what this is. That was the payout. I got too much confirmation here. The High Priestess trying to do it in secret. The devil, that's Putin. The star, give me some time, but not really going to do it. The Ace of Wands, if you've been with me on the channel, you know when I get aces, that's Spirit saying a yes. So Ace of Wands will create that with the sun. So Chris Murphy was on to something. Chris Murphy is absolutely on to something. That phone call was, on the one hand, Sleepy D saying, I really need this win right now. I need this to appear that I've got this under control. I'm the broker in chief of this peace deal. Now, Zelensky said there was progress, and that was from him, that there was progress. But there's this, what is it, a 15-year, I think it is, agreement for security measures. So land, Spirit has been saying, I don't like seeing it, you all. I know many people get upset about this. Spirit has been saying for a long time that peace, in order for can't get my words out, for them to reach an agreement, that there was going to be some concessions around land. Where, how much, I don't know. But I've seen that for months. I've seen that since back in the summertime, last summer, that there would be concessions for land. The hiccup has been around security guarantees. If we give this land up, then what's the guarantee that you're not going to come back in and try and take more and more and more? Spirit. Meanwhile, from what I understand, Canada has upped the ante and given, 1.5 or so billion to Ukraine, or has agreed to give that. We know that the European Union is trying to, cough up some money and help Ukraine as well. Today, there's a breaking story as I'm taping this around 10 o'clock Monday morning that Putin is now saying right on the heels of this meeting yesterday with Zelensky and Sleepy D. Now he's saying that Ukraine tried to attack his home. And from what I saw just before I started taping, of course, Zelensky has said, no, that's just not true, Spirit. But that Putin is using that, of course, as an excuse to go further in and target specific, federal buildings and what have you in Ukraine. Spirit, is that true? The King of Cups. Let me put it this way. Is Putin fabricating that story today on the heels of on the heels of that meeting yesterday. Is he fabricating that story? Yeah, he is the emperor. That's what we figured, you know. So on the heels of that, he's trying to, fabricate something to once again put the onus on Ukraine. Now, in the Nine of Pentacles, yeah, that's what he's doing. So the question is, I get that Zelensky is not done. He's tired. He's weary. He really does want to push and whatever measures. If there's concessions, certain things need to be guaranteed, like security. But he's at that point now. He really is at that point. Like, this has got to stop. And if concessions are one way to make it happen, let's try and do that in the most plausible way possible. But he's not fooled by this agreement or by Sleepy D's call with Putin's spirit. Is Zelensky aware of the distrust that is he? I want to word this the right way. Is Volodymyr Zelensky basically playing chess, and he understands that he cannot trust a thing that comes out of Sleepy D's mouth? Is he on board? Does he get that? The moon. Thank you, Spirit. It took me a minute to get the question right. But yeah, he does. What's really being hidden agendas, what needs to come to light and be spelled out specifically before Ukraine will sign a peace deal. Spirit, will the U.S. and perhaps other countries, but in particular the U.S., will there be a concession to providing security for Ukraine? Will there be a concession to do that? The Knight of Cups, so that's on the table. That is a part of what they talked about for sure yesterday while Zelensky was here. But they're not going to hold the deal. Even if they provide that, or they promise to provide that, they're not going to hold up to that. And there's the Three of Wands. They're going to put pressure. The U.S. is going to continue to put pressure on the European Union and other nations to be the ones to provide that security. That's what I'm getting there. So bottom line, you all, I want to move on to a couple of other things is, and the Three of Swords, understanding and having some major doubts about everything that was said yesterday, because clearly during the talks that they gave, we saw Sleepy D get up there and just, once again, just praising Putin. And Zelensky was just like, you saw the looks, right? He was like, what? But he really held it together, but he's not buying any of it. And I do see what Spirit is saying is the U.S. is going to continue to point the finger at the European Union when it gets down to the brass tacks of who's going to furnish this security, who's going to step in and help protect Ukraine's interests if it will in fact sign on to a peace deal. All right. Second thing, this was big. Is DJT is what I put down here on my notes, but is Sleepy D going to exit in 2026 one way or another? Is Sleepy D going to exit in 2026? That's the pressing question I think so many around the world want to know, and certainly here in the U.S. Spirit. Will Sleepy D exit in 2026? Is he out one way or another? However the divine chooses. 8 of Wands, that feels like pretty quick. That feels like momentum, that continuing deterioration. Even pictures that we saw yesterday of Zelensky and Sleepy D standing next to one another, there were people saying because of Sleepy D's posture, that kind of hunched over, leaning over from the head, that it was proof of, medical professionals were saying that's proof of frontal dementia. Yeah. We know that, right? And the 5, the Hierophant, that's government. That's him as a leader of government. Quickly leaving, quickly exiting. Ace. I'm going to just, show it to you like I got it, y'all. We started out with that 8 of Wands. Is he exiting in 2026? It's moving, and it's moving quickly. And then looking at him, the Hierophant, right? And the Ace of Wands. Okay? He's in 2026. I'm getting he's exiting. Now, that leads me to, let me put these back. We know JD has been preparing for a while now to step up and be ready. What he's also doing, we understand, is increasingly he and Elon Musk are, or Elonia, or whatever we want to call him, right? Or Muskrat. Yeah, we'll stick with Muskrat. So JD has apparently been on the horn, fostering and tightening up his relationship with Muskrat, because he's going to need the money, but he's also going to need the data manipulation. Now, whether that means voting machines, and certainly whether it means AI, that's going to be a big thing in 2026. You all, is the misuse and disinformation through AI. I read something yesterday that something like 20% estimated new accounts on this platform are being fed almost entirely AI generated content. Like, it's getting completely out of hand. And we know that part of what's happening is the Democrats are needing the money from big tech, right? As they prepare to launch these campaigns, or are launching campaigns in 26 and certainly in 28. They want that money, or they want some portion of it that's not being given to the GOP. But at the same time, big tech, all chips are in with big tech around AI. And so water consumption, these data centers, electricity, all of the harm that's being done around that environmentally and otherwise, economically, that's going to be a big thing around whether even the Democratic candidates, both state and certainly federal, national, are going to be willing to take a stand around that. Spirit, are JD and Muskrat aligning their forces, knowing that there's only so much time left for Nine of Cups, only so much time left for Sleepy D. So I've got the Nine of Cups. They've been having conversations about what they'd like from each other. I'm getting that Muskrat, who, of course, everything's transactional, so it's got to be continued what's in it for me. He's not asking for another role. Spirit is saying he's not asking for some other, like Doge is done. Not going to do that again, but it's more making sure that the entities that he does own, whether it's SpaceX, etc., Tesla, etc., what he does own, making sure that he continues to profit from that he gets government contracts, etc., etc. So they had a conversation, each of them. Here's what I'd like to have. Nine of Cups, wishes. Here's what I want from you. Here's what I'd like to have from you. And we have the Knight of Pentacles. They're trying to move slow because they don't want to appear that they have already solidified a plan that excludes Sleepy D, We already know you're gone, so we're going to go ahead and start making moves and making plans that about that are in the event of you being gone. They don't want to be that obvious with it, so they're slow rolling it with that Knight of Pentacles. And we have the Hermit. Slow rolling it. To an extent, Elon, I think, has said to JD, I'll do it, provided that you understand what's in it for me. I'll do it. I'll help you. But I also want to be left out. I will not be put back in the limelight like I was the last time. He doesn't want or need. He really got his jollies off the last time when Muskrat and Sleepy D were doing their thing, their bromance. He got off on the attention. He got off on the, on the heightening of his public profile even more so. That was a part of the incentive for him. He doesn't want that this time with JD. He learned something there. And there's the Lovers. That's the deal. I will help you, but you can't put me front and center to the extent that I was put front and center the last time. Spirit, what's JD's take on this going into 2026? Is he ready? Is he prepping himself and ready to step in? Ace of Cups. Yeah, he really is, you all. He's being told, be ready any day now. And the Two of Cups, he's being told, be ready any day now. And I also get, oof, is this Susie? Is this Susie Wiles telling JD, be ready any day now? Eight of Swords. That's not Susie. Is this Marco? The King of Swords. Yeah, I think this is Marco. Even though at the end of the day, there's no love lost between Rubio and JD. Rubio understands that in the given scenario, regardless of what Rubio is planning down the road for a presidential bid in 2028, and Spirit has said he is, but for right now, the way things play out, clearly, if something, if Sleepy D exits, clearly JD has to take over, and that's what Rubio is telling him. It's Rubio in his ear saying, "Dude, you see what I see what you see. You got to be ready to move on a dime." Will Will JD get the support? Like, will he last in there for a while if he has to move in? The Six of Pentacles, I don't think so. Spirit has said that for a while. There's something where, because Six of Pentacles is give and take, give and receive, transactional, right? I think what this means, Spirit is saying, just as Rubio is in his ear right now saying, look, we all see what's happening. You got to be ready, dude. I'm here. I'm going to do my deal. Hexeth, etc. Everybody's lining up to say, well, we're going to be there to do what we need to do. But when the pedal meets the metal, they're all going to be in it for themselves. It's going to be so much ruckus. They're not going to support or try and make JD be successful. And there's the priestess again, the high priestess coming in. So working both ends and what's happening behind JD's back. That is also where I'm getting you all. That's why JD wants to kind of feel like he's got things solid with Musk or Muskrat, because remember back when Doge was in full force and we were seeing Muskrat in the White House every day, right? Remember who he fell out with? Majorly fell out with Marco Rubio. Majorly, like we heard, they almost came to blows. He and Scott Bessent, weren't getting. I mean, a lot of members of that cabinet are no fans of Muskrat, and that's one reason why he's saying to JD, I'll be in with you. And Susie's in that mix as well. Spirit is saying she's in that mix. I'll work with you on this, but I can't do it the same way. You can't bring me in there the same way that you did before, because these cabinet folks are going to try and harm not only my visibility or my reputation, but my business. And that's he understands. He weathered the storm. Come on, the whole Tesla thing that went down. Yeah, he weathered that storm. The board went ahead and gave him some ridiculous raise despite everything, the losses of Tesla. But at the same time, he's saying, I can't set myself up for that again. All right. I think that's everything for today, you all. I want to not make it too long. Thank you so much. I had a beautiful class yesterday, Practical Magic using Tarot. Beautiful turnout, great class, and it's going to be a series. The next one is going to be on Sunday, February 15th. More details about that to come pretty soon, but I'd love to have more of you join in on that, and certainly those who were there to come back. It was a great time, and I really appreciate your time and effort and support. We got to do this thing. We stay strong. We rise by lifting one another, right? All right, you all have a very, very incredible Wednesday is New Year's Eve. I might try and put a little something short on there and check in with you all. I typically take Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I may put in a little something in for you on Wednesday. But either way, enjoy this week. Take good care of yourselves, and remember, keep your chins up and your shoulders back. Right? Love, 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 love. Remember your heart. Remember to breathe, and remember to love yourself first and foremost, and love those who are around you, those who matter, those who hold you down. 2026 is getting ready to be quite the wild ride. And from what we just saw, maybe some changes happening even sooner than, sooner rather than later. We'll see what happens, all right? Take good care. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.